Me and my younger brother Alec were actually excited to move into the new house. It's a huge 2-story colonial-style house with a 5-car garage sitting on about 20 acres. It has a nice in-ground pool and a huge basement my dad said he would turn into a huge man cave for us all to have fun in. We moved in 3 weeks ago and it's been awesome since day one. It's just my dad, Alec, and me that live here. My mom passed away when we were real young. My dad did what he said and turned the basement into a cool area for us all. We have a pool table, a projection screen instead of a TV to make it seem almost like a mini theater, and I hooked up my Xbox One to it. We also had a dartboard, a mini fridge, a bunch of posters of stuff we all liked, a couple couches, and a bunch of low-lit antique bar lights that my dad enjoyed collecting. My dad said he was going to put a water fountain that he would keep stocked full of root beer in one corner of the basement, but we have to wait because it gets a little damp in that corner when it rains. Someone is supposed to come look at it Wednesday. Sunday my dad got a call from his work and they needed him in Nashville, which is about 6 hours away from here. My dad is a lawyer and does special cases for big businesses and typically works out of Atlanta, just 2 hours away. It's Monday morning now and my dad is packed and ready to leave. He knows we are old enough not to get in any trouble, so he tells us to be safe and he will be back Thursday. He left us $200 for takeout. He always gives us plenty of extra, and an envelope with some money in it for us to pay the man coming to look at the corner that's damp. We've done stuff like this plenty of times before for the past few years, so my dad wasn't worried about leaving us alone. We know how to call 911 and my dad taught us both how to shoot his .45 Cowboy 6-shooter pistol well enough to defend ourselves in case someone broke in. He tells us to be safe and waves goodbye as his Uber arrives to take him to the airport. Everyone in our county is on quarantine due to the virus, so my brother and I finished our homework for the week. Now we have the whole week to play around and do whatever. We decided to play in the pool, but the water was a little cold, so we ended up sitting on the pool chairs and play Monopoly and Uno. Later that after we crashed in the living room so it was less creepy at night. We watched some of the classic scary movies like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Tuesday morning we woke up around 11 a.m. I'm sure we slept in due to the energy drinks and chips making us crash. We went down to the basement to play some video games. We was having so much fun taking turns playing rounds of zombies on Black Ops 2. It was around 4 p.m. when we heard a loud thump. It was distant, but you could tell it was a big one. I thought maybe it was the guy coming to look at the corner in the basement, so I went up to check and see if he was at the front door. I opened the door and looked around, but I didn't see anyone and shrugged it off. I walked back downstairs to the basement. "Hey Alec, I don't know what that noise." He quickly cut me off by waving his arm in the air and making a hush gesture with his finger over his mouth. He was looking towards that damp corner. He grabbed my arm and pulled me close to him and whispered, "While you went up to check the door." I heard the thump a couple more times. I think it's coming from that corner. The old bar lights my dad had hanging up gave off a dim light for more of a chill vibe. I was definitely not feeling chill at the moment. I opened my phone and turned on my flashlight to see better. When we got closer to the corner, I noticed some cinder block crumbles. "Look at that," Alex said. I looked up to see a cinder block protruding out about an inch compared to the others. It was at chest height for us, about 4 feet off the ground. "Let's just leave this alone," I said as I slowly pushed the block back into place. We were creeped out for the next few hours and staying in the living room. After cooling down, we both said we were crazy and the wall might have already been like that before we even moved here. So we went back downstairs. We brought a couple lamps to plug up to have some more light so we wouldn't creep ourselves out so much. Then we continued on playing video games. To lighten the mood, we played Minecraft on split screen. It was about 11:30 p.m. and we were starting to get sleepy. We agreed that after we get to a stopping point on our game, we need to get some rest now for when the guy comes tomorrow in case he comes early. It was about 5 minutes after our conversation that we heard something that sounded like stones rubbing against each other to the right of us. We both looked towards the sound and it was the same cinder block I pushed back earlier. It was almost like something was on the other side pushing it, but that was impossible. This is an underground basement and there should be dirt behind every wall. We sat there staring at it as the block continued to come out. We were frozen with fear and confusion. After about 10 seconds, but what felt like minutes, the cinder block came all the way out, fell, and busting into a few huge pieces on the ground. What I saw next I will never forget. The lamps that we brought down gave off just barely enough light to see a very dim outline of a dark face with no eyes and a huge mouth standing on the other side of the hole in the wall. It had eye sockets but it looked like they were gouged out. It was smiling at us. We couldn't move. The only thing I could do was focus on my breathing and look at this weird thing. "Do you see that?" Alec asked me, whispering. "Yeah," I whispered back. "What should we do?" Alec asked. Before I could answer, the thing made an awful, extremely high-pitched scream. It was so loud that I could feel my eardrums vibrate and we both covered our ears. We yelled because it hurt so bad. Then it backed up out of sight. Alec looked at me and said, "I don't know what to do. If we stay down here it can get us, but if we go back up then it might get out of that hole and be free to wander around in the whole house. We sure would be screwed then," he yelled. "Let me think," I said. "All right, go up to Dad's bedroom and get his pistol and load it. I'll stay here to watch and make sure it doesn't try to come out. Go now. Hurry," I yelled. Alec ran up the stairs and in the distance I could hear him run up the second set of stairs, then it went silent. All I could hear was music from Minecraft playing. I quickly rotated the couch so I could sit behind it and watch the hole in the wall. Then I heard scraping footsteps coming from the hole. They became louder each step. Then that thing started pounding up against the wall. It sounded like a professional boxer trying to murder a brick wall. It was fast, hitting hard, and heavy. All I could do was watch with my heart pounding. It knocked out 3 more blocks from the wall. I screamed for Alec. That thing screamed at me again, hurting my ears. Alec ran in and took a shot at it. He missed it, but at least he scared it off. Alec looked mad. "Come on," Alec yelled. "No," I screamed. Alec ran to the wall and crawled in after it. I got up from behind the couch and chased after him because I didn't want him to get hurt. I turned on my phone's flashlight and stayed about 6 feet behind him. He was chasing it. I was chasing him. We ran for at least 15 minutes before Alec and I saw it up against a wall at a dead end with some moonlight shining in from above. He took a shot at it, somehow started acting crazy, running left to right, and dodged it. The gunshot was loud in this tunnel, so loud it hurt my ears even more than that thing's screams. It hurt Alec's ears even more since he was the one firing the shot. He dropped Dad's gun. After a moment and we recovered, the thing came back as fast as it went. Then my phone died and it was almost pitch black. Then it screamed again and we could hear it coming towards us. I grabbed Alec's arm and we both ran back the way we came. It was a fairly straight tunnel, so I figured we could run fast without hitting any walls. We ran all the way back while the thing was chasing us. We eventually hit a wall. It was the same wall that we came into, but something was different. I couldn't see any of the lights that we left on inside the basement. In fact, I couldn't even feel the hole that we came from. It was patched up. It was back to normal like when we moved in. We were frozen yet again, knowing that thing was behind us and we had no way to go. It was dead silent. I thought maybe, just maybe, there was another path, or that we might have just been feeling the wrong wall. Then I faintly heard the Minecraft music playing on the other side. I was right. This is the wall we came from, and now we are stuck in here. We turned around in the pitch black and we both sat down on the ground up against the wall. We were just waiting to die. Every second was more and more stressful. I started crying. The suspense of just waiting to be killed felt worse than actually being killed, I imagined. My mind was zooming in every direction, going crazy as I waited. At least 10 minutes went by before I realized I wasn't dead yet. I reached for Alec and touched his arm to assure me he was still there. "Are you okay?" I whispered. "Yeah, you," he whispered back. "Yeah. Is it still there?" I whispered again. "I'm not sure," he said. I reached around me and found a pebble. I threw it down the pitch black tunnel ahead and it made a light echo. A second later we heard it scream yet again, but it was very far away. So far I would assume all the way back at the other end. The scream echoed for a full minute. "It sounds far, what should we do?" I said. "We can't bust this wall down. Maybe we can crawl back to the other end of this tunnel and get out where we saw that light, or maybe there is another tunnel off to one side," he said. "I don't like that plan, but I guess it's all we can do. I'll be damned if I sit here and wait for someone, or that thing, to find us," I said back. "All right, let's go back, you can lead the way. Maybe we can get Dad's gun when we get back down there," he said. "Sounds good. I think since it doesn't have eyes it has to go by sounds, so let's go slow and quiet," I said. We stayed up against the wall tight. We slowly took a couple steps every couple minutes. Every so often we heard it give off a softer scream. It felt like an entire day before we reached the end of the tunnel. I still don't know how we didn't run into it or pass it. We saw the dim light shining through from above at the end of the tunnel. I saw the gun in the light and picked it up. We climbed up a short ladder to the source of the light. There was a square door at the top of the ladder and it was locked. I thought for a moment and remembered there was a little shop down in the woods at the edge of the property. Dad showed us it when we first moved it. I remember seeing this door from the other side and it having a lock on it. Dad said the last owner installed a small storm shelter, but he hasn't had time to look in it yet. I see why it's locked now. We climb back down and start wondering what to do next. Suddenly that thing shows up and stops just barely in the light. I aim the pistol at it and I freeze. I just can't shot it and I don't know why. I assume it's the fear rushes through my blood. Alec takes the gun from me and takes 2 shots at it. Somehow it dodges both shots. It slowly walks towards us. It must know we have nowhere to go. "Why didn't you take the 6th shot?" I said. "There's only one way out of this," he said. "Huh," I said in confusion. He turned the gun to himself and he was gone instantly. Time felt like it stopped. Tears run down my face. I drop to my knees. The weird creature slowly walks up. I don't even care if I die anymore. I don't care if that thing gets me. It grabs my brother by his feet and starts to drag him away. I try to hold on to him. I'm so weak from everything and from crying that I didn't even slow that thing down. It was so ugly. I hate it. It drug him away from me, but I could still see it. It started eating Alec's skin and body. I couldn't watch. I don't know how, but I stuck my fingers into my eyes and pulled them out. I was blind and bleeding from my eye sockets. I could hear it crunching his bones. I couldn't even cry. I just sat there for what felt like days. I passed out for a while. When I came to, I couldn't believe what has happened and hoped it was a dream. I felt for my eyes and they weren't there. I felt like I was insane by now. I got up and started walking slowly. I couldn't even remember how long the tunnel was. I started walking faster and faster. I started running, sprinting. Then I hit a wall really hard. I heard voices on the other side of the wall. I felt around the wall and found a block that was loose. I tried to push it out, but it got stuck. It made me really sad I couldn't push it all the way through, so I walked away. Hours later I wandered back to the wall to find that the block that I pushed out was pushed back in. This excited me, so I thought maybe the people on the other side would want to save me from this hellhole. I started pushing the same block back and kept trying harder and harder until I finally got it out. I could hear people whispering, so I smiled real big. I could tell they were nervous because of course coming out of a wall would be odd. So I gave out a high-pitched yell so they would know I was friendly. They screamed. "Oh no," I thought to myself. I was just trying to be nice as I could be for my situation. So I backed away not to startle them.
I just want their help.